Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, what I want to do is look at how powerful blessings actually are. So we've got a Boltsmith here that we're going to be using. It's a rare champion, a champion that probably nobody really knows what it does. Maybe you've used it in an early game or you've used it for a lot of food, but generally you don't use this champion in lots of endgame teams. We're going to take him from 0 Ascension, 0 Blessing in a pretty strong build. And then we're going to put a 6-star fully awakened blessing and we're going to use the Phantom Touch. And we're going to run it in Clan Boss side by side to kind of see how much more damage Phantom Touch actually brings and how much this awakening brings with all the extra stats and benefits. It's a really good way for us to see the impact of blessings on this game. So when I was summoning souls the other day, I was talking about how my level of account now will benefit more from these blessings. And this is going to be a good example of the reason why I'm saying that. We got Boltsmith. Boltsmith is a rare champion. He's actually, when I've looked at him, quite solid. He's not so bad. We have an A1, 2 attacks. It has a 15% chance of placing a low decreased speed. We don't really care about this decreased speed. All we care about is how much damage does this 2-hitter do. The A2 places an increased crit rate, a lower, and an upper increased crit damage on this champion for 2 turns, then gives himself an extra turn. So that's actually quite powerful because it means his big hitting ability can be sort of circled back a lot quicker than you would normally have. So it's a shame it's a low crit rate, but it is a rare champion, but it is a big crit damage. So you're getting 30% more crit damage in a build. Then we have this Piercer Munitions, level 6. He attacks one enemy, will ignore 30% of the target's defense on a 3-turn cooldown. So it's going to be a big hit. He also has an aura in Faction Crypts. It's not really that relevant, Faction Crypts auras in most cases. So I haven't awakened him yet. We're going to run this in a Clan Boss team. I'm going to show you the team in a second. We're going to look at what he does without the blessing. He is in a very strong build. He's probably in some of my best gear. You know, we're talking, we have triple roll pieces here. You know, it's a very, very strong weapon for PvE. We've got a very strong helm, you know, double crit rate. The chest is not as strong, but it's still pretty good. We've got a flat stat there, but, you know, that would have been nice if it was attack. Pretty average gloves, I'd say. There's no crit rate on here. The gloves are quite weak, but then we come into another triple roll speed, and we also have sort of a very well-rolled crit rate. We're also in triple revenge here, so we've got a double attack percentage on the ring. The amulet has no flat attack. These sort of substats are kind of useless. We want one that's got lots more rolling into attack. And we also have like a pretty average revenge. But we're going to factor in sort of the counter attacks we could get. Over this Clan Boss run, we should get on average around about 5 counter attacks. So that's not too bad. It's 5 extra A1s for more damage. We're going to cover the information about the blessing and why we're picking Phantom Touch after the first run, but that's the kind of build we're in. Total stats, 6.2k attack, just under sort of 6.25, 295% crit damage, and obviously we're running at 86% crit rate because he gives himself crit rate buff. He always has it up. And he's at a speed of 205 that he needs to be for the Clan Boss team that I am running. In terms of masteries, we are just running standard Demitha block damage style masteries. We are going down for Laura Steel to get a little bit more crit damage from that crit damage set. We're also running down for War Master. Many of these masteries don't matter. We don't really care about the accuracy ones. We're just using it as a path to get towards Laura Steel. He does need to not have Steadfast because of affinity issues. If there was a spirit, we'd want him to get stunned, not Eris. And then a little bit of healing to make sure he's always at 100% to activate Heart of Glory. So that's the standard sort of build that we've got here. So what Clan Boss team are we going to run? We're going to run my usual team, Demitha, Eris, Seeker, Jintoro, and Boltsmith. We have Jintoro running in a 3-1 alongside Eris in a 3-1, Demitha in a 3-1, Seeker's getting that extra turn on a 2-1, and Boltsmith can take the extra turn and it won't break the speed tune here. It probably might have some issues on Spirit potentially, but that looks okay as well. This is my normal team. The slot that Boltsmith goes into can be any champion in the game, so long as they don't overfill their own turn meter or have any sort of weird mechanics in there. So he's going to be able to go A2 into A3, A1 all the time. And as you can see, when it falls into rotation at turn 3, we're going to get Boltsmith here having increased attack, increased crit damage, and increased crit rate up all of the time for all of his attacks. So that should be a pretty strong attack. That's how that team runs. It's pretty easy. It's full auto. You just delay Seeker 1 turn. That is all you really need to do. And just tell Eris to use her A2. So that's the team we're going to run. That's kind of where we're going to look at. In the optimizer here, we can have a look and see that the estimated damage based on the boss that we've configured here, which is a 5-star cruelty on a Seeker, with decreased defense, with weaken, with all the buffs up, we're looking at around about 212,000 on that A3 and 133,000 on that A1. That doesn't include War Master, so obviously we're going to get a bit more damage as well. That's what we're currently predicted at 6 out of 6. So we're going to be running this on Nightmare instead of Ultra Nightmare because the affinity issue on Nightmare is a bit of a problem. Jintoro is magic. The current clan boss for Ultra Nightmare for me has turned to Force. So we wouldn't be given a fair test to Boltsmith's damage in the sense that weak hitting could happen and we would run out of decreased defense and weaken. So we're going to run it on Nightmare. The setup is pretty much full auto. The only thing with Boltsmith being an extra turn champion in my team, I need to set up a slight delay for Nightmare, but otherwise it's full auto from that point. So we're going to be delaying his A2 and A3 by 2 turns, and then we should be in tune. So that's the plan here. So we're going to hit auto to start with, and we're just going to do sort of an A3, A1, then auto. So we're just going to let this run through. Him do an ability, Jintoro, and then we're going to do one more, and then we're going to A1 here, and then we need to A1 one more time, and then it's fine. There is a way you can set this up full auto as well, but we're just doing this for the test here. We want to make sure we maximize the A3 damage. We just set this up here one more time, and then it should A1 here, and now we can go full auto. And this is just to make sure the Demitha doesn't go before the Boltsmith at the end of the turn, so the block damage is on everyone. So we're going to let this ramp up a little bit. We're going to see some of the initial numbers, and then I'm going to run this sort of offline, and we're going to come back in to see the final numbers. And then we're going to go and awaken him. We're going to bless him. We're going to talk about what Phantom Touch actually brings when we do that, and run exactly the same team on exactly the same clan boss on exactly the same setup to basically see how much more damage the awakening is giving us. So we're setting up here. We should be in rotation as of now. Ares will cleanse the stun. Affinity wise, this team's actually perfect. There's no issues. Any affinity will stun either the Boltsmith or the Jintoro, so we should never have any issues in terms of sort of the stun targeting in that sense. That's because we've got Steadfast on both Demitha, Seeker, and Ares. So let's have a look at some damage numbers here. Jintoro's done his A3, so we get a 200,000, about 220,000 hit on that A1. That's pretty strong. That is a very, very big hit, that, for an A1 ability. If you just ran A1 with 220,000, you'd probably do a couple of, sort of about 20 million damage alone. Then his A3 comes in, 300,000, sort of 284,000, just under. So that's the kind of range we're at the moment without any awakenings. Around about 200,000 A1, 300,000 A3. Obviously, he's benefiting from his A2, increased crit damage. It adds 30% stat. It doesn't multiply, it just adds the stat, which is less than ideal, but it's still an additional amount of damage. So I'm going to let this run through now. We're going to see how much damage he does at the end, and then we're going to go through the next part. So we're coming back in now. It is the last turn of this run. It takes around about 24 minutes to fully run it, so it's quite a long run here. But we are looking at around about 155 million damage here. Pretty strong numbers. Obviously, we're on Nightmare. The numbers will be a little bit inflated. But even still, with a rare champion here, it is a lot of damage. So we're just doing the final rotation. So quick in chat, how much damage is this Boltsmith going to do? 32.1 million damage. That's just in pure damage alone. Seeker and Ares are running toxic sets, so a part of their damage is going to be proportioned to those debuffs. Jintoro coming in with the 58 million as well. So that's the sort of sample we've got, 32.12 million. How much more are blessings going to give? So I'm in the altar. We're going to fully awaken Boltsmith. A 6-star fully awakened champion. Let's go. Let's get him in. Let's do this. And we're going to pick Phantom Touch. Now, obviously, as a rare champion, the options are limited. We could go for Hero Soul if you're doing some sort of Hydra or Spider mechanic. You can go for something like Survival Instinct if you just need someone who isn't really dealing damage and is going to receive debuffs. 10% extra is pretty good. But generally speaking, when it comes to a rare champion, you will pick Phantom Touch. I've done a spotlight on this video. I'll put a little card up above. Check that out if you want to know exactly how this works. But in essence, it is just another War Master, but stronger, because you can scale this based on your attack. It's not based on the enemy's max HP. War Master will have a hard cap to some extent, minus some ignore defense things you can do to kind of boost it. More attack here equals more damage. and it also ignores 30% defense. And we also get a boatload of stats here. We're getting 300 extra attack. We're getting an extra 15% crit damage. We're getting an extra 5 speed of damage here. This is numbers that are actually akin to empowering a rare champion, which you cannot do in this game. We get 100% chance at 6-star to inflict a Phantom Touch proc. Now that can't happen on a counter attack, but it can happen on any ability. It's got a 1-turn cooldown. And we also get a 35% chance that this can proc twice. So the numbers here should be quite crazy. We're going to choose this blessing. And now we can see the final powerful build. We have got a 6.5k attack Boltsmith. We could get more if we went into the Faction Guardians and we slotted in another 2 duplicate rares. We could get an extra 140 attack from the Faction Guardians. I haven't actually got any rares that I can do that to test in this video. We've got 210 speed now. That's still in tune. That's fine. But it would give me 5 speed more in an optimization task if I wanted to do it. We get the 15% crit damage. So we're now at 310% crit damage. We're going to get another 30%. So that's 340% crit damage in the battle. 86% will get boosted by the buff as well. So same thing again, same mastery, same setup. All we have done is we have blessed this champion. How much more damage will this guy do when we hit exactly the same clan boss for exactly the same amount of damage, exactly the same setup? So once again, we're going to start it on auto. We have to delay the first attack. We have to delay it 2 times. We need to A1 twice. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to boost this. We're just going to go here. We're going to A1. There goes the Phantom Touch procs and War Master and extra hits. This is where it could get really quite stupid in terms of the extra damage. We're going to get a counterattack. You should see when he counterattacks here, there's no chance for a Phantom Touch because it's got a 1-turn cooldown. So we just need to A1 one more time, which I think is coming next turn. One more. Okay, we need to A1 here. Again, Phantom Touch proc once that time. So now we can see what kind of damage. So before we were doing about 100 to 110,000 per hit on the A1. On the A2, we were doing around about sort of 300,000. That was the kind of damage range we were doing. We need to let the A1 ramp up for methodical mastery. That's 10% more damage. So we'll need to allow that to happen. But that was a 301,000 hit on that ability. So we've already hit sort of an extra 20,000 on one ability alone by just adding this blessing. A1 here, 117 to 116,000. We do need, I think, another 2 or 3 A1s to get to that 10% mark. So we're just going to keep cycling through here. Obviously, we're fully unkillable now. We go for another A3. 343,000. You can't see it because of all the War Master and Phantom Touch procs. We're going to have a look how much Phantom Touch we're getting in a second now as well. So hopefully now we should be close to max methodical. Let's just do a quick check on the calculator. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have one more A1 to go, one more rotation. So I think by turn 5 we should be at 10%. So that's a good comparison for damage then. So he's going to buff himself again. A3, 317,000 that time. So we're going to keep boosting through here. I'm not entirely sure why we did 340,000. It must be the 10% range that we really hit the high end. 113,000 that time. Now, when you have Phantom Touch, it will show as a War Master color. It'll show red. So that's the way you can distinguish between it. So we should be full damage here now. So 291,000, 83,000 and 60,000. The 60,000 is the Phantom Touch proc. It is a little bit less than War Master, but it will happen more often because it's happening every attack rather than just every 60%. Got an 83 and a 57,000 proc there. So that was one War Master, one Phantom Touch. We're going to go one more time here. He's going to boost himself. A3. So we had 63, 61. So that was 2 procs there for the Phantom Touch. So we're going to let this run through now exactly the same way. We're going to sort of let the battle go. I'm going to let this run on a recording here so that we can kind of see how often this Phantom Touch is proccing. Take a look at the numbers in a sort of sped up version, and we'll see how strong a blessing actually makes a champion when you fully awaken it. So we're coming to the end of the run now. We are at turn 49, 161 million damage. As we expected, we are higher, which would make sense. But the real question is, how much more damage has Boltsmith actually done here? That's the real question that we want to figure out. So we're coming up for the final turn, 317k, lots of attacks. I think the Phantom Touch obviously is also on the scale of 0, sort of plus 10, minus 10% damage range. That's why we're seeing some numbers change on the Phantom Touch proc. It's either high rolling or low rolling. But we're complete 165 million, and Boltsmith has done 42.3 million damage. He has done 10 million more damage. 30 million from Seeker, a little bit lower than last time. Ares has done 24.9, about the same. Gintoro has done 57, just under, about the same. Demitha's 10 million. But Boltsmith has come in with 42.3 million damage for a rare fully ascended. Yes, he is in strong gear. I'm not discounting that. The point I was trying to make, he's gone from 32 to 42. Blessings are incredibly powerful. So there you go, guys. That is the end of the video. The takeaway here, blessings are incredibly powerful. They can make a massive difference to any content you are running. Arena content, whether it's clan boss content, whether it's dungeon content, they will make a significant amount of difference to the amount of damage your champions can do, or even how long they can survive, which potentially might make them stronger than empowerment altogether. This one blessing here basically increased the efficiency of Boltsmith in Clan Boss by 30%, roughly about 30 to 31%, because he added an extra 10 million on 32. That's really strong. If every single champion was fully awakened, they're all doing 30% more damage. You can kind of see how one key becomes almost like not even a question. We kind of need like an ultra nightmare now because of these blessings, just to push our sort of reasons to keep pushing Clan Boss higher. So I hope that was interesting, guys. That has kind of reaffirmed to me that blessings are definitely the way to put focus in my account. The more of these that I can get, the better. Obviously, pulling a 5-star Baron yesterday, that's added so many options to my team now. But with that being said, guys, if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from this channel, please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That'll come straight into your feed, and I will catch you in the next video.